Hey, good afternoon, folks. It's Chief Meteorologist Nick Lilia here, taking a look at your tropical update for the week of June 15th through June 22nd. Of course, we do these daily, but we try and look out about a week or about a week and a half. Brought to you by the good folks over at Pine Belt Gutters and Remodeling. So far on the season, we've had 3 named storms. We'll talk about those here in a hot second. The average is 12, 6, and 3 on the year, so we're already ahead of schedule. And the idea is this year that we're going to be ahead of schedule all year because we're looking for an above-average season with 6 to 10 hurricanes and 3 to 6 major hurricanes. As I said, Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal, there's an outside chance that we get Dolly by the end of the week, just off the coast of the Carolinas, and that tends to be where we look this time of the year. So, here we are in the middle of June. Generally, we're looking down into the Gulf of Mexico. You can see that kind of bullseye just off of the Florida coast there into the Gulf. But we're also looking off the coast of the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida into the Atlantic Ocean, as well as down into the Northwest Caribbean this time of the year. As we head into July, we tend to look a little further out, and for us, in South Mississippi at the very least, July tends to be kind of a lull, so to speak, in our action, tropically speaking. That hasn't been the case necessarily in the last couple of years, but historically speaking, for us, that's as that big ridge of high pressure starts to build in, we stop getting cold fronts through. And it just kind of tends to be a little bit of a dip for us locally in tropical activity, but not in the overall Atlantic. Speaking of that, as we look out here, we've got a cluster of thunderstorm activity down into the Caribbean, as well as stuff that's happening just off of the coast of the Carolinas, where the National Hurricane Center has dubbed a 10% chance of development in here as we head through the next 2 to 5 days. We've got a little upper level area of low pressure still over land. The idea is that as this kind of drifts out and over the open Atlantic, we may end up in a situation where we get something to develop that would then move out to sea and away from shore. But that's kind of it out there right now. In fact, as we look at the 700 millibar moisture 850 vorticity map, and remember looking at this map, the grayed out areas that we look at, I'm going to highlight some of the grayed out areas, are areas where we've got dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, so there's not going to be any development underneath those. In fact, we've got some more into the Gulf of Mexico here and into parts of Texas, so we're not going to see development in those places. What we are looking for are these little areas of yellows and oranges and reds that aren't in the grayed out areas, and those are the areas we look for some semblance of organization from the tropics. So as we go forward in time, by the time we get toward Friday, I noticed that, just off the coast of the Carolinas, sure, we've got a little bit down there, and some more just off of the northern coast of South Carolina, but, we got a mess of dry air over here, a mess of dry air all the way out here, a mess of dry air into the Gulf of Mexico. So we've, in essence, cut off anything from happening or developing in the tropics because of that. Even as we head through the weekend, by the time we get toward Father's Day, you can see how much dry air there is out there across the open Atlantic, associated with a big ridge of high pressure that's going to build in, and you're going to get flow around that looks like that. Now, on the periphery of that, and along the coast with Texas and Mexico, we may end up in a situation where we have something maybe a little bit closer to home as we head through the middle to end of next week, but even that is likely going to be over land and not over the Gulf of Mexico. That said, worth watching. So there's a look at your tropical update brought to you by the good folks at Pine Belt Gutters.